Everybody, Scorpion here. So we're going to scrap out one of these countertop ice machines, see what's in it, if it's anything we want. This came from Chief Stacker. So y'all stay tuned and see what we can find in this thing. And just so you know, this is one of the bigger models. The smaller ones are like this. So maybe we'll find something good.
Rock bottle on the track, boy.
Alright, so most of the time things like this tend to be a little bit of a pain. So we will see what we run into working on this. I can already see some bolts in the bottom. I don't have my stuff for those bolts, so we may not be able to get those out. But let's start and see what happens. So now it's going to be a lot of dead space in here. You got what makes the ice of this portion, and this portion here is basically your reservoir for water, and what holds the tray that holds the ice. So all I'm doing is trying to get all the screws out the bottom I can see, because there's no screws anywhere else that I can see except for one on the back. And that's right there where the power cord goes in. Now I've already cut the power cord off and the end off of it and stuck it with the other ends.
There. I want to keep this in sync.
Alright. So none of this really looks like... This might be one of those things that just happens to be a lot different than everything else. Interesting. So here's what's in the bag. You got your condenser coil, you got your compressor, it's going to be a solenoid, you got quite a few wires, you got a circuit board up there, you got an electric motor over here on the side that works the ice machine on the top. So let's see if we can get all this stuff out. I know y'all can't see very well, and I'm sorry. I still got to work on some camera angles and stuff. Right now, angles, I just don't have any room in here. Fan still looks like it's basically new. So these little switches right here, I'm sure they have silver in them. It's probably a solenoid right there. I'm sure somewhere along the way water's going to squirt out of this. Alright, so I'm not going to be able to fully disassemble this in the house. Just in case there is still some gas in this. There is no valve on these little systems to push to see if it's still charged or not. So I'm just going to try to kind of unbolt some of this stuff. Get some of the wire out and make it easier to get to the other stuff and get it out later. Clip on the side of the motor here wanted to be a pain. So now I'm in the motor, I can cut those wires loose from the side. So the wire of can't talk. Motor is no longer wired up. Let me see if I can change y'all a little bit. There we go. That's basically the wiring harness, and the circuit board should have some contactors in these blocks here. You got a fuse up there, you got a little transformer there, one IC chip, two IC chips, nothing spectacular. This is all your other stuff. So we'll pull this off. That's a solenoid. It's got a decent amount of copper in it. So this is just for insulation on the pipe. It'll keep it from sweating and freezing. That's your cold line. So basically the only thing left is taking the condenser out. It looks like it's got about 3 screws holding it in. That is well, it's got aluminum lines going through it with copper ends. And I'll do a video on how to do your rads later. I'll cut all these lines. Anything that's got solder in it, so normally I'll cut them here. That's going to be your dirty, or your number 2, I think. And then anything that's clean, like from here to here, doesn't have solder, I believe that's number 1. And I don't remember off the top of my head right now because it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning. Your compressor itself can go as it is. They do have a amount for those, or you can split them open and take that motor out and get that copper out of that motor. The small ones I don't plan on opening up. I'll send them as they are. If it's a bigger one, I'll open it up and get out whatever I can get out of it. So we do have a few screws up here in the top. Let's see if I'm going to open the top up. Coffee's getting cold. So this is what turns your switches on and off as this flips and rotates. There she blows. That's all trash. That looks like stainless steel, to be honest with you. Thing coming out of plastic was a little warm. looks like this is free. I don't think these are holding it in, but it might be. So like I said, these are your little switches. As this motor engaged and rotated all this, it would turn that little plastic piece I took off, and one way it would engage into this, and that low voltage would go down and tell it to send the cold stuff up, and then when it would go back the other way, it would engage this, and then it would defrost itself. So, there it goes. It's not going to let go for some reason. I don't think this screw is all the way out. Alright, so there's the motor. Looks a lot like the one that's on the bottom of a microwave. I think that was the sensor for the fill line. Looks like that is pretty much it. I've been taking this stuff out, and I'm not doing that till I get outside. Or probably till I get my friend to come test it and make sure everything's out of it. So the only thing that's left is just to clean up with the circuit board and the fan. And y'all have seen quite a few of those at this point, so I don't want to bore you with that. So there's your motor. And to be honest with you, these actually have a whole lot of copper in them. If it's something you want to open up and take apart, it's probably worth your while. Probably worth more than, I'll say, 30 cents a pound for motors. But basically, you've got this left. This, your condenser, and your solenoid. That's it. I mean, to get the solenoid off, it's a screw up here and it slides off. So, not very complicated at all. Pretty simple. Worth taking apart? Yeah, probably so. I would say it is. I mean, it's only taken what, 10, maybe 15 minutes, something. Nothing too major. And that's the first time I've ever taken one apart. So, you know, if I do it again, it's going to be faster. A lot faster. I think my drill's almost dead too. If you've never seen me do fans, it's like this. Fan drops out. And you grab a hold of these as close as you can to the motor and you twist. Most of them pop off pretty easy. They're not made to endure stress like that. They're just made to move air. Drop that in the motor bucket. Drop the fins in the trash. Pull any of this stuff off. As I said, if you don't want to see the cleanup, I understand. I know I've showed it plenty of times before, but there might be somebody new, so I'll show it. Cut the zip tie off. Those aren't really made to come off of there, so we'll put those wires. These are. Sometimes they need a little extra persuasion. Apparently this one needs a lot. Wow. There it goes. So I always cut all these little ends off. I'll keep them, I'll check them. At some point, the ones that are brass go to brass. The ones that aren't, I'll drop in shred. Of course, if you don't have the stuff that I have, you'll probably have to put them in as dirty brass. That's still more than shred. But I've got a burner. I can toss all these in there and they'll all melt down and I can pour it into a bar. Of course, talk to your local scrap yards, because some of them will not take a bar unless they really know who you are and trust you, because people have been known to melt bars and put bolts and stuff in them to give them extra weight. So, this is one of those ferrite things. Helps clean up the electricity going to the motor. Helps keep from burning up solenoids and contactors and motors. Having a clean electrical signal going up there. So none of these are going to have gold in them. It's nothing special. So I've actually been thinking about a couple different ideas, if y'all are still here. A shredder. Haven't done any look into one yet, but I've been told they start at about $3,000. Then I can take all my ends and run them through the shredder and get the metal out. Also looking at a different laser, but it's $10,000. Might be a little while before I can get that. Cut this little bad boy open. Show you what's inside of one. I'm also looking into biodiesel, because I get a whole lot of plastic from doing all this stuff, and I can turn plastic into biodiesel. It's supposed to be able to run it in my truck, so I've got some more, you know, looking to do on that. If I can run it in my truck at fuel prices now, oh yeah, save a buttload of money. Alright, so for that much work, let's bring y'all down here. You end up with a little bit of brass, this feels more like copper than anything, but right there is your contacts, if you can see it on there. So they consider this technical silver. It's not 3/9 fine or nothing like that, but it's technical silver between my thumbnail and the screwdriver there. And then on the other side, this one's a little bit bigger, but not much, but again, technical silver. There's a couple of different ways to get it off of there. If it's big buttons, you can hold this with pliers on this end and hit it with the acetylene torch, and it'll bead up and bloop, drop right off of there. When it's small, you want to cut it down as close as you can to try not to have any other base metals in it, and then you drop it over in the chemicals and let the chemicals eat it off. So that's definitely steel. Getting no movement out of any of this other stuff. So that piece goes in the shred. Cut your blob off of there. Cut the solder off. So that's your precious metals out of it. You got silver, you got a little copper, and you got some brass there. So, is it worth the work? Probably not. But hey, it adds up, you know. It'd be a little faster probably if you smashed it with a hammer. I don't do too much with these little ones. I normally go after the big ones. I mean, silvers. I always consider silver to be $25 an ounce because it seems to go up and down in that range of, you know, 21 to 30 or whatever. Your power cord here, run that thing through the stripper or strip it by hand just to get that outside layer off, and then you can get the same for this as anything else. But if you don't, it's got 2 layers. I think it puts it in the 55% or 35% or something like that. And like I said, we got 2 IC chips. You got a little transformer and 15 amp, 10 amp. I'm pretty sure these are all solenoids. Basically switches, contactors. You got your fuse you can save because fuses have silver in them. And if you've never seen Tungsten 999 or 999 Tungsten, I don't remember which it is, but if you've never seen some of his stuff, he shows crushing these to get silver out of them, the fuses and all. But alright, y'all, well, I hope y'all enjoyed. I'm gonna go to bed. It's right close to 2 a.m. I hope y'all have a good one, and I'm gonna try to enjoy my 2 days off. Catch you later.